The Cardinals take on the Reds, 6:40 p.m. Eastern start time. Cincinnati's minus 155, totals 8.5. If you like the Cardinals in an upset on the road here, they're plus $1.35 for some money line cash. Now they're also minus 150, catching the 1.5 on the run line. Miles Mikolas on the bump for St. Louis. Sonny Gray for Cincinnati. And following a winning day of premium sports picks on my BrockPage.com website yesterday, we also improved to 11-2 in our last 13 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that very same page. And the good news is we have another Major League Baseball tier package pick going off here this evening. We're also 6-3 with a push in our last 10 extra daily picks on that very same website as well. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, that's only going to cost you just $2.99. Now, we currently have over 850 members who are signed up and active on that BrockPage.com website. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website. And once again, that's BrockPage.com. Now, Sonny Gray struck out 124 batters and has a 3.91 ERA for Cincinnati. This Reds pitching staff strikes out double-digit batters a game at the Great American Ballpark. Meanwhile, offensively, the Reds are in the top 3 in home scoring. Nick Castellanos is batting .315 with an OPS of .936. Now, the outfielder is currently 3rd in the big leagues in batting average. Meanwhile, Joey Votto's hit 28 home runs and knocked in 83. The veteran first baseman is 12th in the majors in OPS as well. Now they're taking on a St. Louis club who has a losing road record, and they also play just .500 baseball within divisional play. This Cardinals lineup is in the bottom 10 in scoring on average per game. They also have Miles Mikolas on the bump here today, who has just 13 1/3 innings of work under his belt with St. Louis here this year. The righty's currently 0-1 during that span. And when it comes to the total on this one, St. Louis is 14-11 to the over in their divisional road games. Meanwhile, Cincinnati's 20-12 to the over against the NL Central at home. I'm going to lean toward the Cincinnati Reds minus 155 and the over 8.5. Next contest, Phillies Nationals 7:05 East. Both teams are minus $1.10, totals 9.5. Matt Moore for the Phillies, Patrick Corbin for Washington. Now Corbin's just 7-13 for the season, 6.09 ERA and a 1.40 WHIP. The Nationals are on a 3-game losing streak, and they also dropped 7 out of their last 9. Washington is currently 20 games below .500, and they're in the bottom 10 in runs allowed. They're taking on a Phillies club who's on a 4-game winning streak themselves, and they also rank in the top 10 in road scoring. Bryce Harper's batting .302 and currently leads the majors with a 1.008 OPS. Meanwhile, Andrew McCutchen's hit 21 home runs, and he's also driven in 61. The Phillies, who typically play their worst baseball on the road, they've actually won 3 out of their last 4 ball games when they bat first. When it comes to the total on this one, Philadelphia went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Washington went 6-4 to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Philadelphia Phillies minus $1.10 and the over 9.5. Next ball game, Orioles Blue Jays 7:07 Eastern Standard Time. The Toronto Blue Jays are minus $3, totals 10. Hyun-Jin Ryu for Toronto, Keegan Aiken for Baltimore. Aiken's just 1-8 on the season with a 7.26 ERA and a 1.70 WHIP. The last place Orioles have lost their last 4 straight, and they also dropped 8 out of their last 10. Baltimore's officially 50 games below .500, and they currently have the worst record in Major League Baseball. They're taking on a Toronto club who's amongst the league leaders in home scoring. Vlad Guerrero's hitting .313 with 38 homers and 95 RBI. Now the Slugger's also 3rd in the majors with a 1.006 OPS. Meanwhile, Marcus Semion's hit 32 homers and knocked in 77. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, Toronto's in the top 10 in fewest runs allowed per contest. Hyun-Jin Ryu's 12-7 with a 3.88 ERA and a 1.18 WHIP. Now, the lefty struck out 115 batters. When it comes to the number in this one, 8 out of Toronto's last 10 ball games stayed under the line. 5-2 to the under in their last 7 at home. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Blue Jays -1.5 in the over 10 runs. Next contest, Red Sox versus the Rays, 7:10 p.m. East. The Tampa Bay Rays are -135, numbers 8.5. Ryan Yarbrough for the Rays, Garrett Richards possible for Boston. And if Richards does end up getting the start here today, just keep in mind he's only 6-7 on the year with a 4.85 ERA and a 1.59 WHIP. This Boston pitching staff is in the bottom 5 in hits allowed per contest, bottom 10 in walks allowed on the road. They're taking on a first-place Rays club who's been absolutely dominating the AL East. They're currently 43-18 in their divisional contests, and they're winning nearly 70% of their divisional ball games at the Trop. This Tampa Bay lineup's leading the majors in scoring on average per game. Brandon Lowe's hit 31 home runs and knocked in 78. The second baseman is currently 8th in the bigs in that home run category. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows is 5th in the majors with 92 total RBI. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, Ryan Yarbrough 7-4 with 101 strikeouts and a 1.19 WHIP. Now, total-wise, Tampa went 60% to the under in their last 10 ball games, 3-2 to the under in their last 5 at the Trop. Meanwhile, 3 out of Boston's last 4 road games stayed under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays -135 and the under 8.5. Next ball game, A's versus the Tigers, 7:10 East. The Oakland A's are -120, totals 9.5. Cole Irvin for the Athletics, Tarek Skubal for Detroit. Now, Skubal is just 8-11 on the year with a 4.01 ERA. The Tigers are on a 3-game losing streak, bottom 10 in the majors in hits allowed per contest. This Tiger pitching staff is also striking out just 7.8 batters a game. Now, they're taking on an Oakland squad who actually won their last 2 straight themselves, with both of those victories coming against, yeah, you guessed it, the red-hot Yankees. And as a matter of fact, Oakland held New York to just 3 total runs in those 2 victories combined. Now, this this A's pitching staff is in the top 3 in fewest walks allowed per 9. They're also holding their opponents to just 3.7 runs a game when they travel. Cole Irvin's got 9 wins thus far in the season, along with a 3.68 ERA. And when it comes to the total in this one, 7 out of Oakland's last 10 contests stayed under the line. Meanwhile, Detroit is 9-1 to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Oakland A's -120 and the under 9.5. We're going to skip that one. Next ball game, Rockies Rangers, 8:05 Eastern start time. The Colorado Rockies are -135, totals 8.5. Austin Gomer for Colorado, Jordan Lyles for Texas. Lyles has struck out 114 batters this season. The Rangers are on a 2-game winning streak, and that includes a 4-3 victory over Colorado just yesterday. This Ranger pitching staff is in the top 10 in the majors in fewest walks allowed at home. They're taking on a Colorado club who has the fewest road wins in the National League. The Rockies are currently just 17-49 when they bat first, and that's good for only 25% in that particular category. This Rockies lineup averages fewer hits per contest on the road than any other team in the majors. Colorado's also scoring just 3.2 runs a game when they bat first as well. Now, starting pitcher Austin Gomer comes into today's contest with a 4.38 ERA. When it comes to the scoring in this one, 5 out of Colorado's last 7 road games stayed under the line. Meanwhile, 3 out of Texas's last 4 home games stayed under the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Texas Rangers +1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. Next ball game, it is going to be Indians versus the Royals, 8:10 Eastern first pitch. The Royals are -1.25, total 7.5. Mike Minor for the Royals, Zach Plesac for Cleveland. Now, Plesac's 8-4 with a 1.18 WHIP. The Indians won 6 out of their last 9 ball games, and they rank in the top 10 in striking batters out on the road. They're taking on a Royals club who's in the bottom 10 in scoring, and they're also they have the fewest walks at the plate per game than any other team in the bigs. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, Kansas City's in the bottom 5 in runs allowed at home. Now, Mike Minor's just 8-11 on the year with a 5.30 ERA and a 1.27 WHIP. And when it comes to the number in this one, the Royals are they're 28-25 to the over at Kauffman Stadium against National League opponents. Meanwhile, the Indians went 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Indians plus 1.5 and the over 7.5 runs. Next contest, Pirates versus the White Sox, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Chicago White Sox are minus 320, totals 9. Lucas Giolito for Chicago, Bryce Wilson for Pittsburgh. Now Wilson's just 0-2 in just 20 innings of work with the Pirates. This last place Pittsburgh club, they have the second fewest wins in the National League, and they score fewer runs per game than any other team in the majors. This Pirates lineup is scoring only 3.1 runs a game when they travel. They're taking on a first-place White Sox club who plays their best baseball at home. Chicago's 44-23 at Guaranteed Rate Field, and that's good for 66% in that particular category. This White Sox lineup is in the top 5 in scoring, and they're led by Timmy Anderson, who's batting .302, which is 11th in the majors. Meanwhile, Jose Abreu's leading the big leagues with 101 RBI. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, the Sox are striking out nearly 10.2 batters a game at home. Lucas Giolito's fanned 175 batters and has a 1.10 whip. Now, the hard-throwing righty's also got 9 wins on the year, along with a 3.68 ERA. When it comes to the total in this one, Chicago's gone 10-6 to the under in their interleague contests. Meanwhile, the Pirates went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 outings themselves, 3-0 to the under in their last 3 when traveling. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago White Sox minus 1.5 and the under 9 runs. Next ball game, Cubs, Twins, 8:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Minnesota Twins are minus 145, totals 9.5. John Gant for Minnesota, Zach Davies for Chicago. Despite several rough outings this season for Davies, the righties still struck out 102 batters. Now, Chicago's won 3 out of their last 6 ball games. And they've also cashed in on the run line in 5 out of their last 8 interleague road games. As a matter of fact, Chicago's gone 40-27 against the number away from home this year. That's good for 60% in that particular category. They're taking on a last-place Twins club who's 15 games below 500, and they're amongst the worst in the majors in runs allowed per contest. John Gant's just 4-7 with Minnesota, along with a 1.52 whip. Now, the righties walked 59 batters in just over 88 innings of work. And when it comes to the total in this one, 7 out of Minnesota's last 10 ball games got over the line. Meanwhile, the Cubbies went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago Cubs plus 1.5 and the over 9.5. Next contest, Yankees, Angels, 9:38 Eastern first pitch. The Yankees are minus 195, totals 9.5. Jameson Taillon for New York, Jaime Barria for Los Angeles. Now, Barria comes into today's contest with just 34 innings of work under his belt with the Angels, and he also has a 5.56 ERA. In addition to that, the righty's also got himself a 1.53 whip. This Los Angeles pitching staff walks more batters at home than any other team in the majors. They've also taken the loss in 6 out of their last 9 ball games. They're taking on a New York squad who leads the majors in offensive walks at the plate. Aaron Judge, is 10th in the big leagues with a 2.9. Aaron Judge, come on! Aaron Judge, 920 OPS, 29 home runs, 294 batting average. Giancarlo Stanton, 25 home runs, 70 RBI. New York gives up only 3.9 runs a game. Jameson Taillon, 8-4, 125 strikeouts, 1.23 whip. New York, 4 out of their last 7 road games stayed under the line. They're also 39-28 to the under when they travel for the entire season. Give me the New York Yankees -1.5 and the under 9.5 runs. Next ball game, Padres D-backs, 9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The San Diego Padres are -165, totals 8 flat. Blake Snell for San Diego. Zach Half Gallon for Arizona. Despite a pretty bad record thus far for Half Gallon, he still struck out 102 batters in just over 85 innings of work. I totally stole that nickname from a friend, by the way. Anyway, the D-backs are 36-28 against the number on their home field, and their lineup's in the top 10 in home hits per game. Josh Rojas is batting .270 with an OPS of .791. Pavin Smith also comes into this contest with a .728 OPS himself. They're taking on a sputtering Padres club who lost 7 out of their last 10 ball games. San Diego's also got a losing record against divisional opponents on the road. The Pods have gotten the W in just 9 out of 23 road games against the NL West. Blake Snell's on the bump here tonight for San Diego. He's not very good. He's got a .458 ERA and a 1.45 whip. The lefties also walked 65 batters. Certainly some control issues for Snell. Total-wise, Pods 13-10 to the over in their divisional ball games away from home. Arizona's 19-11 to the over against the NL West at Chase Field. D-backs +1.5 over 8 runs. Next game, Brewers Giants 9:45 East. Milwaukee's -120, total 7.5. Woodruff for the Brewers. Nobody confirmed yet for the Giants, but regardless of who throws out the first pitch, the first place Giants have won 6 out of their last 9 ball games, and they win 68% of their contests at Oracle Park. The San Francisco pitching staff walks the fewest batters per 9 than any other team in the big leagues. They're also allowing just 3.6 runs a game. Now they're taking on a Brewers club who lost 3 out of their last 5 themselves, and they averaged only 2.8 runs per contest during that stretch. Now this Milwaukee lineup is in the bottom 10 in hits on average per game. They're also fanning over 9.1 times per contest at the plate. And total-wise in this one, Milwaukee's last 4 straight road games fell under the posted number. San Francisco is currently 8-2 to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog San Francisco Giants +$1 and the under 7.5. Next ball game, Astros Mariners, 10:10 p.m. Eastern start time. Houston's -165, totals 8. Lance McCullers for the Astros, Yusei Kikuchi for Seattle. Now the Cooch is just 7-7 on the season, along with a .433 ERA. The Mariners lost 4 out of their last 5 ball games, dead last in the league in hits on average per game. As a matter of fact, the Seattle Ball Club is averaging only 6.7 hits a game at T-Mobile Park. They're taking on a first-place Houston club who leads the majors in hits on average per contest. Yordan Alvarez has an OPS of .889, 28 homers, and 89 ribbies. Meanwhile, Yuli Gurriel's batting .313, which is 6th in the majors. He also has an .852 OPS as well. Now, pitching-wise, Lance McCullers is 10-4 thus far in the year, .332 ERA and 151 strikeouts. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, Houston went 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games, 18-7 to the over in their divisional ball games away from home. Meanwhile, the Mariners saw 7 out of their last 10 meetings with Houston get over the line as well. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros -165 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. It is going to be Braves versus the Dodgers, 10:10 Eastern first pitch. The LA Dodgers are -$2. Totals 7.5. Walker Buehler for Los Angeles, Charlie Morton for Atlanta. Morton's got himself 12 wins thus far in the year, .360 ERA, 1.10 whip. The righty has also struck out 173 batters. Now, the first place Braves play their best baseball on the road, and they're led by Austin Riley, who's 10th in the majors with a .303 batting average. Now, the third baseman has also hit 28 homers and batted in 80. And speaking of RBI, Ozzie Albies is 10th in the big leagues with 86 ribbies. This Atlanta lineup is in the top 10 in the majors in scoring. They're taking on a Dodger club who failed to cash in on the run line in 5 out of their last 7 home games. The Dodgers are also in the bottom 10 in home hits per game at the plate. And one final thing to add, if you're kind of looking to lay the 1.5 with Los Angeles, just keep in mind the Dodgers have successfully cashed in on the run line in just 43% of their home games. Now, total-wise, 9 out of LA's last 10 ball games stayed under the line, 6-1 to the under in their last 7 at home. Meanwhile, the Braves went 80% to the under in their last 10 themselves, 4-1 to the under in their last 5 road games. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves plus 1.5 and the under 7.5 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 11-2 in our last 13 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that very same webpage. I like Cincinnati minus 155 over 8.5. Philadelphia minus $1.10 over 9.5. Toronto minus 1.5 over 10 runs. Tampa Bay minus 135 under 8.5. Oakland minus $1.20 under 9.5 runs. Texas plus 1.5 under 8.5. Cleveland plus 1.5 over 7.5 runs. Chicago White Sox minus 1.5 under 9. Chicago Cubs plus 1.5 over 9.5. New York Yankees minus 1.5 under 9.5 runs. Arizona plus 1.5 over 8. San Francisco plus $1 under 7.5. Houston minus 165 over 8 runs. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 11-2 in our last 13 Major League Baseball tier package picks on my brockpage.com website. We're also 6-3 with a push in our last 10 extra daily picks on that very same webpage. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves plus 1.5 and the under 7.5 runs. With that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that goes to Stephen Q, who said yesterday, solid analysis as always. Well, Stephen Q, I certainly appreciate that. And you've been with me for a long time, dropping me comments in the comment section. Stephen Q, I thank you. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website at brockpage.com. Now, guys, real quick, this is very important. If you decide to get a membership here today, just keep in mind, you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. It's just the way the billing cycle works. You get billed up front and then you get billed the first of every month following that. So guys, if you end up getting a membership here today, you're going to get billed today and then you're going to get billed again on September 1st. That's tomorrow. It's just the way the billing cycle works for the platform that I use. So my best advice to you is maybe just hold off on getting a package here today and maybe wait until tomorrow. I always tell folks the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. Once again, guys, Patreon, the website that I use, they bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So keep that in mind if you're looking to get a package on brockpage.com. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free guy. Who the hell is that? I really hope, you know what? I was laughing earlier in the video about Zach Half Gallon. I'm going to say for probably about the last 12 years, I have a text group, a text chain, onto which we just constantly, any given day, throw out a ridiculous professional sports nickname. So my favorite that I came up with is Araldus Assless Chapman. I was also a big fan of former tight end for the Texans, Joel Salad Dreesen. But yeah, Half Gallon, we got that the other day. I also came up with Phillies relief pitcher, what is it? What was it? JD Ballpeen Hammer. That was one of my favorites. But anyway, guys, that's kind of why I was cracking up a little bit. credit goes to my guy. What the hell did we used to? Lamar Bow. That's right, Lamar Bow. He sent me that wonderful nickname the other day. So anyway, Lamar Bow, great work out of you. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. It's garbage day where I'm at, and I think I forgot to take out the trash, so I got to run out there real quick. But anyway, happy Tuesday to you, and I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.